Hi, well, cheers and welcome from the Barcast, the podcast for bartending, service industry, drinking in general. We got Sunset Kelly over there on the ones and twos. I'm Paxton Eugene. I'm incredibly depressed and terribly anxious. But more on that later. It's probably one of the worst times in my life. Anyways, brought to you by Tybee Art and Coffee Bar, Tybee Island, Georgia. Warm up with an iced latte. Cool off with a 4-shot Americano. Splash of half and half. And a pup cup. I don't know if they do this.
They should.
Had some friends come in. They're back on Blake and Chris. They're back on another 3-month campground tour. So they periodically come into town and they do like 3-month stints at the campground. You know,
right on, doing
stuff. So it's always nice to see them and listeners to the podcast, friends of the show, and they gave me a little. Maybe not insight, but just a little more texture to the quack-gate, quack-gate, Jeep-gate. One thing I didn't think of before, not that they said, but my absentee roommate has a Jeep.
Yes, he does.
But he doesn't have any duckies.
No.
In the front of his Jeep.
No.
But he does have the little hand marks on his side view mirrors.
Okay.
Have you seen those before?
No.
So Jeeps and Jeep culture, I'm starting to realize and recognize there's certain things that they do. So you know what the grill on the front of the Jeep looks like?
Yeah.
They'll have stickers of that in other places on the Jeep.
Okay.
Like the silhouette of the grill and the 2 circular lights, you know, it's it's recognizable.
Iconic.
And then I see a lot of handprints. And my buddy Blake thought that all these Jeep owners loved Jerry Garcia because he thought it was the missing finger hand thing. He's like, oh, I didn't think Wrangler people were that cool. And well, no, they aren't.
I think they stashed the Jeep logo in odd places on each vehicle. I'm not saying it's individual to each one, but like maybe each series of vehicle. Like there's a Jeep logo inside the door jamb or on the flip up in the back. But it's hidden.
A little Easter egg.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
forget somebody in their family or close friend, older gentleman, sends them a picture of a Jeep, not Wrangler, but Rubicon. But I guess a Rubicon is a Wrangler.
It is.
Maybe.
I guess.
And he goes, check out my new car. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you wouldn't buy a Rubicon Wrangler. But he ended up buying it.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, oh, did it come with a duck? And they're like, no. So they asked him, like, well, any ducks? He goes, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
A couple months pass, I guess, something like that. And one of his friends goes, here you go, buddy. And gifts him a rubber duck. And he goes, what's this for? He goes, put it in your dash. And he goes, why? He goes, just figured you needed a duck.
Huh.
But no explanation from him on why the duck was given. So then I'm starting to think about this as if it's like Fight Club. Now, let's say the guy gave him the duck and gave him the rundown of the lore, but he goes, first rule of Duck Club, you don't talk about Quack Club. And it seems, it tracks because the Jeep culture thing, they caught him waving at there's a hand thing that they do. They leave their hand on the steering wheel, I think.
Okay. When
another Wrangler goes by.
Kind of like the motorcycle thing where you put the finger
down. Except something else I learned from Blake and Chris was if you're a real motorcycle guy with like a bottom rocker and a cut, you don't do no waving. All that waving shit on motorcycles is for weekend warriors and
I see a lot of it.
Yeah, retired accountants and shit like that. You know what I mean? But if a Mongol goes by or Devil's Rejects or whatever, they ain't doing no down hand wave to you.
Interesting.
So as the conversation went on, I was like, so let's say you get one duck.
Okay.
Right? Just like when you buy a car of a certain model, you start noticing that model in other places.
Oh, yeah.
You have a Jeep with ducks, with a duck in the front. All of a sudden you start seeing rubber duckies everywhere in stores that you wouldn't typically, you're walking through a store. If there's a rubber ducky there, unless you're looking for a ducky, it does not enter into your mind at all.
Yeah.
But once you have one you're staring at its ass, at its tail feather on your dashboard in your Jeep Wrangler. You start walking through places and you start noticing the rubber duckies. You're like, oh, that one's got a pirate's hat on.
Right.
It's like a tattoo. You get one and then you're like, oh, well, now I want another one.
Sucked in. Yeah.
So is it the causation of just the recognition that these things exist in the world, and then you want to become a collector a little deeper? Remember I posed the idea for the movie last week? Warden, who owns gun shops, lets prisoners go so that the gun sales will go up.
Sure.
So what if this is Big Rubber passing out because they own all the rubber ducky factories in the world?
I'm pretty sure they're all in China anyway, but
Big Rubber. Or if it's in China, Big Lubber,
I guess maybe it's like its own little miniature cult of some sort.
Where they won't talk. Now, I still haven't Googled this because I refuse to, because I want community confirmation from certain things. But so then they say, well, have you ever gone inside Chamaco's? Now, Chamaco's is a taco place down here on Tybee, pretty close to Huckapoo's. Yeah. They have a claw machine in there for rubber duckies.
Huh.
And there's a Jeep normally parked somewhere near that with an array of rubber duckies in the front dash of their Wrangler.
I don't get it.
Maybe we never will until we get a Jeep. Because, I don't know if when you sign the lease for a Jeep, it's like, and here's your rubber ducky. They don't just hand it to you right away.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
This could probably all be solved with a quick Google, but I'm never.
No.
Never.
I want a bona fide answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
Somebody who knows.
I want to hear it from Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I want Tyler Durden to tell me why there's goddamn rubber duckies in the front of these Wranglers.
Yeah.
So we've extended the set a little bit. I've brought it up a little bit more.
I like it.
And it won't move as much. I can lean on it like I do on the actual bar. A little more on brand.
Make solid points.
Man, really lean in.
Yes.
Kelly shows up today. And I'm pretty tuned in to the seltzer world, especially because, when we do talk about them on the show.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, they'll start showing up on the internet because we said something next to our phones.
Yeah.
Or listeners will be like, hey, have you seen these? But these have never entered my...
I kept seeing them in the walk-in at the Chews right around the corner from the studio.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm usually there to get seltzers, the Blue Baby, the Blue Bombers, high percentage of alcohol, that kind of thing. And I keep looking at them.
They're there looking at you.
Yeah. I mean, a name brand pop soda, type thing and all that. And there they are. And I've noticed this in a few other places. Like when I went back to Augusta, I got some Sunny D seltzers.
Yeah.
Kind of the first crossover name brand that wasn't like White Claw or whatever, that kind of thing. And I was wondering, like, well, when's Coke or Pepsi going to really jump on board and have a Coca-Cola alcohol version of whatever, that kind of thing? Well,
Coke did team up with Jack Daniels.
Okay.
But they would make a canned Jack and Coke, a ready-made cocktail.
Right.
Seltzers are an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a premeditated, already existing concoction.
Right, exactly.
So I see these Mountain Dews, and there's two kinds, and we got the Baja.
We got the Baja Blast. So there's 4 different kinds. So they're all under the Baja Blast umbrella.
Yeah.
In this 12-pack at least.
Yeah.
There's 4 different kinds, but it's Baja Blast. Mine is Baja Blast Pineapple.
I got a mango
But it's Baja Blast Mango.
Yeah.
Now, Baja Blast is already a bastardization of like 50 flavors put together.
It's delicious.
Anyways, so then you add on another. Now it's Baja Blast plus pineapple. I'm sure there's probably some sort of essence of pineapple already in it. So Kelly brings these things over and we're intrigued.
Yeah.
It says 0 sugar. Take a sip. It's the sweetest Now, it is the diet sweet thing.
Yeah.
But good grief.
I couldn't drink 12 of these. There's no way.
I might muscle through too.
Yeah.
I got this beer earlier because it was high gravity, 9.5 Voodoo Ranger Tropical IPA. It's disgusting.
That's a long name.
But I'm kind of going back to it a little bit now because this Baja thing is hard. And the thing is, this might be the first time we've seen. So seltzer and soda are different.
Yeah.
Seltzer is, basically like a LaCroix with alcohol.
Yeah.
But a little more of the fruit flavor attached to it than the LaCroix does. LaCroix's it tells you it's a flavor and then you imagine it. There's no actual flavor in there.
Yeah.
But this, I think, is the first foray, or that I've noticed, or that has come into my consciousness as a alcoholic soda.
Yeah.
Not seltzer. I wouldn't call this a seltzer.
I mean, unless I knew there was alcohol in it, I really wouldn't know there was alcohol in it.
No, it doesn't have that alcoholic bite, and it is 5%, so it's not gonna, jump out at you. Like when you take a big chug of a White Claw Surge, the Blue Bomber,
yeah,
you have that after of alcohol.
Yeah,
most seltzers don't do that.
Right.
But this thing has so much goddamn something happening that alcohol doesn't make any mark.
Yeah, like I said, regardless of the alcohol content, there's no way that I could drink 12 of these without probably feeling like I was going to throw up.
Shit, no.
Yeah.
And 0 sugar, but it has 100 calories somehow.
Yeah.
I guess alcohol has calories. I mean, we only do a drinking podcast, so there should be things I should know, but I don't know.
Well, this is why I brought them. A little something different, because we tried like the weird snacks that they have and all that. So I figured I'd get something a little off the cuff.
I like the idea. It's just kind of crazy how sweet they taste.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Baja Blast in general, it's not something I seek out, but I'm pretty sure it's an exclusive thing to Taco Bell. Yeah, which I think Taco Bell and all those places probably have a big blanket ownership over all of them. Like when they started doing KFC, Taco Bell, and 5 restaurants all in one.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh shit, the same company owns all of the Pizza Hut. That was what it was.
Yeah, I think it's Yum Foods.
Right. So there's this big conglomerate over top of it.
Yeah.
But the only time I ever drink Baja Blast, it's not something I seek out, but it's almost like a wine pairing when you go to Taco Bell. You go to Taco Bell, you get your whatever combo. Yeah. You're asking for the Baja almost knee jerk.
Yeah.
And it's fine when you drink it. It's way less sweet than this somehow, even though it's got sugar in it. And it's very much more well carbonated. This isn't very carbonated at all to me.
Not overly, no.
It's almost like they forgot to hit that part of the gun and only the syrup came out, Yeah,
it is sweet. I mean,
but when you're eating,
but it's sweet.
When you're eating a Taco Supreme, number one, Supreme, I like crunchy, you're a soft guy, whatever.
Yeah.
I knew that about you. It's almost like a wine pairing. The Baja Blast cuts through. Maybe it's just a nostalgic combo that you think of. Because I like a Dr. Pepper or a Coca-Cola or something like that with fast food.
Yeah.
But when you're Taco Bell, since it's exclusive, you're like, oh, I'll grab the Baja Blast. It's not great. It's not bad.
Well, Taco Bell is like appointment eating for me. Like if I'm in that neck of the woods,
right,
Skidaway and Victory especially, if I'm there, I'm like, you know what? What's the one random kind of out of the box?
It's a crime of opportunity, a crime of convenience. So I'm not going to go 2 blocks out of the way to go to Taco Bell.
Right.
But they've placed it where I don't have to go any blocks out of the way. It's right there on one of the main veins.
Easy to get to. So when I have that opportunity to get a little Baja Blast, that's what I do. Because it's the one time.
Right.
You're not getting it at Chick-fil-A. You're not getting it at McDonald's or whatever. Even though McDonald's is the master of the Coke combination with the big straws and the ice and all that stuff.
And the filtered carbonated water.
It's
and
all premeditated.
Trucks guarded by armed guards.
Absolutely.
All that shit.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing. You always knew the McDonald's Coke and Diet Coke tasted better. Yeah. But you didn't know why. But I think they refrigerate the syrup through its whole lifetime.
It's a process.
Yes.
A chemistry of sorts.
Yes.
To make it the most crispy, well-balanced version of Coke
right,
at a drive-thru.
And one of the Coca-Cola guys a long time ago came to my work and was like, I'm going to give you the McDonald's ratio, which they can tune the gun for how much syrup versus. But that was just him. Like, that's only part of the process, man. Yeah. I didn't know that. I was like, I would tell people, I'd be like, we got the McDonald's ratio. Don't worry about it.
The ice melting in the cup, all of it plays into how it tastes when it comes out of that straw. And there's nothing more disappointing when you leave a drive-thru and get halfway down the road and you're committed to going back or going forward to wherever you're heading to or going back to, and it's flat, like getting a Sprite and it's nothing but the soda water and there's no Sprite in it, that kind of thing.
I'm surprised they don't have alarm bells that go off when it gets like...
Dude, you almost want to turn around, but you're five exits down the highway now, so you're not going back for that.
No.
But you're like, it's so disappointing when you get
because it's so
mix.
Particular and so ubiquitous, when something's off with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so the Baja Blast at Taco Bell is essentially a wine pairing, because sure, other sodas are fine with your tacos, but I think there's a reason they exclusified it.
Yeah,
because it's the right combo. It's like certain white wines with fish or something like that. Which I'm not a connoisseur or anything like that.
Yeah,
but I saw this clip the other day, and it was about the movie Sideways, which is probably the most touted wine movie ever. I mean, it was certainly very popular.
Yeah, at the time, absolutely.
At the time, yeah. So that's like 2005 era-ish.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it and being like, so it's 2005, I'm 24 at the time. Like, it was a kind of funny movie because Paul Giamatti's a funny guy, and the other guy that's in it, he's funny too. And I just went into watching Sideways thinking like, oh, it's going to be like pretentious wine movie, but it's actually funny. And he's a struggling author. He's like, I'm like, how can I kill myself before I get published? Like I'm not. It's got to be Hemingway. Well. One little line in the movie, well, there's two parts of the movie that upended the world of wine for a decade and beyond.
Yeah.
Was him going somewhere and he goes, I'm not going to this place to drink any fucking Merlot. When at that time in the U.S., Merlot, head and shoulders in the red wine world, top seller.
Yeah.
The most popular red wine in the U.S., Merlot.
Yeah.
For the next decade and a half or so, Merlot went all the way almost down to being almost undrank. But then towards the end, his soliloquy about the Pinot Noir that he ended up putting in a styrofoam cup to pair along with his burger, all of a sudden the production and sales of Pinot Noir goes up, 200-fold.
It's amazing how that happens.
In the cultural zeitgeist, marketing in general, even though that wasn't intentional marketing, public opinion can change so much just by one person's words.
Sure.
Whether it's true or not, because I'm sure there's great Merlots.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it was like the character on Beavis and Butthead who had the Winger shirt. And not that Winger was a great band by any stretch and all that, but they were even, like, I don't want to say vilified, but
more derided.
Yeah. And it became so uncool to like Winger because of that, because of the nerd on Beavis and Butthead wore the Winger shirt.
They were that was the first Nickelback.
Yeah.
I don't know who said Nickelback sucked first. They were right. But someone said it, and all of a sudden it was a meme to just hate them.
Yeah.
Just because it was in someone's opinion somewhere.
They got some bad press somewhere along the way, but apparently they're coming back around.
I guess.
I mean, everything does after 20 years anyway.
Right, yeah. There's always the cyclical nature of what's popular.
Yeah, being from Canada and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that didn't help for some reason.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds, I think, jumped on the bandwagon to bring them back to.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not
he's
to bring
Canadian
them back,
too,
but to remind everybody, like, they're not bad guys.
Yeah,
not shitty music.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't allegedly, have an Epstein Island or anything like that. So let's cool it a little bit on that.
Yeah, let's take it easy on these guys.
And they're Canadian. Has any Canadian ever really done anything super terrible?
No.
Besides the guy that started, I forget his name, but he was part of the Epstein thing. He was a clothing manufacturer that was in like every Target or something like that. So it was like trash clothes, but
not Massimo.
He was a Finnish guy.
Massimo?
No. I forget his name. I should have looked it up before I even tried to spout it off. But
I think it's Massimo.
Yeah, really? Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just he was a piece of shit in the Bahamas somehow. Yeah. Whatever.
He's married to the chick from Full House.
I don't think that's him.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. No, this guy had a Finnish name. So
Stark.
No. No.
Yeah, forget it.
It was like Franck Delure or something like that. I don't know. I forget his name. But so that got me thinking. I was like, Sideways was cool, but my favorite wine movie, and this I don't know if there's how many wine movies there are, but my favorite wine movie, and I think it was around the same era, was Bottle Shock.
Yeah.
A little story about an underdog vineyard in can there be an underdog vineyard? If you have a vineyard.
Sure.
If you have a vineyard, I don't think you're much of an underdog, except maybe at the polo grounds.
Maybe.
Yeah. You might only have 2 Lambos. I don't, but yeah, and it's a true story.
Yeah.
And it has Alan Rickman and who's the
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine.
Yeah. Captain Kirk from the new Star Trek.
Yeah. About a little vineyard in California who accidentally maybe made the best Chardonnay. It won best Chardonnay of the world.
Yeah.
And Alan Rickman plays the arbiter or the whatever, the ultimate judge.
Yeah.
Of which wine is best.
Eats fried chicken for the first time in his life while he's over here.
And I think bottles, and there's something about how the bottles were cloudy, and when if you have a cloudy bottle of Chardonnay, it's either the worst thing that can happen, or in 1% of the time, it means it's
gold.
You hit everything at the right time. The harvest, the fermentation, all that shit.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a fun little true story about how a little Chardonnay from California.
Well, my mom was a big Chardonnay drinker for a long time. I mean, she was always about the jug of Gallo, that little finger hold.
Loop top.
Oh, yeah. But Chardonnay, like a lot of domestic housewives, back in the 80s and whatever. But now she's a Sauvignon Blanc. Not saying she won't drink Chardonnay, but she's got like 4 or 5, 6 bottles that are collecting dust.
Yeah. I didn't come to this vineyard to drink any fucking Chardonnay.
Yeah.
What if someone said that on a movie, and all of a sudden, no one would stop drinking Chardonnay?
No.
There's a term. I think this is the term, but it's called being quiet fired. You ever heard them?
No.
Well, I think I'm being quiet fired.
Okay.
So essentially, what's been happening is any situation where I can be undermined at work, it kind of happens.
Yeah.
Like something happened this weekend where I'm like, oh, it's little situations where they make me feel uncomfortable and unwelcome and unappreciated. Right. And instead of coming to me directly and being like, hey, we don't like you for this reason or that reason, it's sort of like the passive aggressive way to make someone feel like shit.
Okay.
Where it's like I'm starting to notice times where it's like, they'll just quietly make me feel unwanted.
Okay.
For me to hopefully just take myself out of the equation.
Okay.
So it's been so it's been getting kind of crazy lately, and I've become super poor because of it. So if you like the show, go to patreon.com/from behind the barcast, where I'll be putting up a Patreon after this episode tonight and give you a few more details if you want to help support the show and help with the water bill. But onto more heartwarming news. Kelly.
No, wait a second. Hold on. Let's go back just for a second.
Okay.
Not to go into the full Patreon mode and all that, but is this real or imagined to a certain
It could be imagined, but I've been there for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced something like this.
Okay.
And this
is coming, like this feeling's coming from the top brass?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Not the top, but close to the top.
Okay. All right.
And it's very low communication or unwillingness to communicate. Right. It's a weird little dichotomy. Okay. But that doesn't make me incredibly depressed or anxious as I've ever been in my life. But on brighter news, Kelly the other day, Kitty Cat Kelly here the other day, sends me a text and a photo of, you already have a cat, baby girl, which I love to babysit.
Yeah.
Easiest babysit in the world.
I like to think so.
I get to watch Netflix, Great British Bake Show.
Yeah.
Love on the Spectrum. Woo! Oh God, talk about heart full. Watch you some Love on the Spectrum. But a new kitty cat.
Yeah.
Approached you and came to your porch.
All right. So when I came to Tybee in 2011, it seemed like there was dumpster kitties galore. And there was plenty of people willing to feed them, even get them fixed, get their ear clipped, that kind of thing. So
a lot of the local businesses you would see would have 4 to 5 bowls of food on their side places so that these things had
South End Chews has bowls out front, that kind of thing. And you even have a little, like if you have an extra 23 cents in your change, you put it in this little thing and it buys, the kit and caboodle, the cheapest cat food they probably have at IGA, that kind of thing.
And they get them clipped and all that stuff. Yeah.
Goes to a good cause and all that. So Monday, the little raggedy kitty cat shows up, kind of fluffy. I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I'm not entirely sure, but it seemed like it was a girl, but it hadn't been fished.
So you didn't check the cloaca?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it hadn't been through the process of like getting the ear clipped and all that.
So that's the thing. If their ear is clipped, one ear is clipped, that means
they've been not rescued necessarily, but they've been spayed or
sorted out.
Yeah, they've been sorted, that kind of thing. And this little thing shows up and wants to make itself at home. And honestly, before I got baby girl and she had a brother Pablo, who unfortunately passed away prematurely. Not because I didn't try to save him, but he did. One of these things that happens.
Things happen.
But I kind of figured it'd be like one of these things you see on YouTube where a cat just kind of shows up and decides, this is my forever home and you're my human.
I choose you.
They just imprint on you for whatever reason, and they just choose you. So I was kind of thinking maybe this is one of those things. And
were you in your mind like, not right away, because obviously a cat comes up right away. You're just like, I want to help it if I can, whatever.
Yeah.
But it might be someone's. But right away, were you like, I hope this is I choose you moment?
Day 2.
Okay.
I was thinking if this thing keeps coming around, then I'll probably. And the first thing I did, which I really shouldn't. Well, you really shouldn't do is feed a stray, because if it is somebody else's and now they've got another stop and blah, 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 don't feed my cat because they're on a special diet, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But this thing came around and didn't seem overly hungry. I put some food out for it, some of baby girl's food, and she wasn't really mad about it, my cat. But this cat wanted to come in the house almost immediately. Like I had to put my foot out like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I don't know if it was just following baby girl around.
Did it trounce the food like it had never eaten before?
No, that was the other thing. It seemed healthy enough. I mean, its butt, was kind of matted up, like it didn't know how to clean itself, that kind of thing. But it wasn't overly interested in eating a bunch of food.
It wasn't ripping the bowl of food out of your hand.
And I've seen cats scarf down like, this might be my last meal, or the first thing I found that I don't have to kill or drag out of a trash can or whatever the case may be. So, and it stuck around. Like it knew the layout of my place. Like it came around to the back door. I had this little back door
collar?
Area. No collar. Big fluffy tail, gray, black, white-ish.
So at the middle ground of, okay, a little matted on the butt.
Yeah.
Not super hungry, but no collar, and it doesn't seem like it's gotten to where it really wants to go outside of here.
Right. And it stuck around, but it disappeared Monday night, and then Tuesday morning I kind of cracked the blinds, have this little slider on my front door so I can kind of.
Were you like seeing if there was snow on the ground after Christmas morning?
A little bit.
Are you here?
I always kind of wonder if baby girl's a little lonely because there's not a whole lot of street cats on my block these days.
Anytime I've been around there, baby girl's always solo dolo.
Yeah.
And they do keep their territories where, not unlike a dog, I know they piss around there, but mostly they patrol.
Yeah.
And they all have their heat maps that they don't cross over much.
Yeah. And baby girl's not like one that, cleans the block out every time something new arrives, So it's not like she gets into cat fights each night or howling on it. But this cat seemed, for whatever reason, wanted to get it into my place. Like
it wasn't shy about maybe trying to slip into your door.
Exactly. And so Tuesday comes around, it's still around, kind of hovering and this and that. And then it would disappear for a little while again. And then it came back Tuesday night and hung out for a while. And I think it was there Wednesday morning, but my neighbor got up to do some laundry, so I think it might have followed him around to the laundry room. But because it had been raining, I think, the night before, so I could see this little wet imprint on my little patio right there. So I knew it was there.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it since.
Oh.
And now I'm kind of like hurt a little bit, a little, I want to say despondent.
A little forlorn?
Well, maybe it was a little too early to start planning for the future.
Sure.
But I was starting to think, this guy's going to need a bath. I'm going to have to take it and get it fixed.
You're starting to maybe think about possibly doing a few of the steps to maybe start.
All the signs were there of a cat that wanted
that chose you.
Yeah. It was all there for the taking.
Maybe it tested you and you wouldn't let it inside right away. It's like, well, never mind. But
maybe
after you told me about it, I was like, what if this cat, it's not out of the realm of possibility. What if this cat knows how to slip its collar on and off, and it just wants to sample all the food offerings of all the neighborhood? Oh, this guy's got the soft kibble. This guy's got the hard kibble that I like.
Baby girl does have good food. It's not like bottom of the shelf stuff, the IGA. You get rid of the tender selects. It's not like the White Wolf or whatever.
Right? Yeah, so, that's what I'm saying. Every other piece is kind of soft. Yeah,
it's the best IGA has to offer.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
It's not Science Diet or anything like that, but it's good stuff.
But it might have had maybe a problem with its teeth. Maybe that's why it wasn't chowing down. I don't know. But it was hard to tell if it was just a teeny tiny kitty or maybe one that's like a year or two old, like teenager size.
How can you tell with a cat, though,
I don't think
because their size.
There's no rings on a tree.
Right, yeah.
Things. Like,
right.
I know vets, when you bring in strays, like, well, it's, you kind of maybe guess, but most of the time they're mutts.
Yeah, right.
So you really don't know exactly what's in them and how they age, whatever. Because they don't have a gray or white face yet, that kind of thing. But to me, it looked like maybe a little teenage adolescent kitty compared to baby girl.
Right.
Baby girl's big and poofy for a female
and
cat.
What did you ever see any interaction between baby girl, your cat, and the new cat that was like anything remarkable, whether it be over affectionate or over aggressive?
No. If anything, it was basically baseline. Because
here's another cat.
Yeah, when I would let baby girl out, there was like one time they even kind of tapped noses, but she didn't seem like overly bothered that it
no
was
hissing
around.
And no
exactly.
Fly swatting.
Yeah, no posturing of that sort. But at the same time, I was cognizant of the dynamic that I have with baby girl, and we've got a good thing going.
Yeah,
she's got her spot on the bed.
Yeah,
and it's not on me.
Yeah,
she's got her spot on the couch. And
not
it's
on
not
you.
on me.
Yeah.
But she's got her spots. That
cohabitate, but it's not like I need kisses and cuddles all the time.
Maybe kind of like me, and it's to a certain degree, kind of.
You guys are matching personalities, yeah. When I want you, I want you. When I don't, I don't. But we can still cohabitate.
Yeah, and granted, I still like to give baby girl the mushies, as I call it. I pick her up just she's so poofy and soft, and like I want
to bite your head off.
I need.
Yeah. You need biscuits, baby.
There's N-E-E and then the K-N. I need.
Yeah.
And then she hisses, and I drop her, and then she eats her food, and then she maybe dashes out. But we got a pretty good thing going, so I don't want to ruin that. But she didn't seem overly bothered by it. But now that it's not around and showing up anymore, I hope it's okay. I hope somebody didn't like cage it and take it away or something.
And I know the thing about not supposed to feed them or whatever, but it's like if you see a collarless cat with a mangy butt, are you going to not feed it because you're some kind of humanitarian? Like, I know better.
Yeah, this was definitely a street cat. And I understand like there's ones that people just kind of keep outside all the time.
But they wouldn't make it all the way to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cats down here, or there used to be, not as many anymore.
No.
But yeah, where it's like, so even over by the American Legion over here next to my house, they have an area where probably like 10 cats come and go to come get, there's 4 bowls of food over there all the time.
Yeah. Well, when I got baby girl and Pablo at the time, I was kind of hoping before them that I was going to get just some wandering cat that would just decide that you're my human going forward. And I would have loved that, like the whole YouTube things you see all the time. Like this little fellow was outside my door for 2 months, wouldn't let me touch it. And then slowly but surely.
But then as time went on, I would put treats out there. And then
I left the back door open.
Day 41.
Yeah.
It let me pet.
Yeah, exactly. No, this thing was
Day 41, it took a shrimp out of my hands.
No, like after the first feeding, he or she, them, they, whatever, was fine with me giving it a little stroke across the back. Wasn't mad about it. So it was approachable. Wasn't
pure hood feral kitty.
Yeah. But there was something that let me know that this is probably not an indoor cat at any time.
Right.
However, there might be somebody feeding it regularly, but this cat's not going inside anybody's place. But it wanted inside mine. I don't know if it just latched on the baby girl for some reason and decided you're my new best friend, or
it's had an inside experience before, and it's like that's much cooler than it.
And it wasn't cold and raining or that that typical scenario.
It wasn't shelter seeking from storms.
Yeah. So now
man, so you started on a little mental, emotional journey.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not. It's not that I feel bad.
Soft serve, Kelly. I love it.
But by day 3, I figured if this little brother, mother, whatever, sister.
What was your timeline threshold going to be? Like, if it had been a week straight, you'd been like, all right, well, maybe now it's my porch cat.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens if time goes on, then maybe it can come inside.
Trap it in the cat carrier, and then take it, get it fixed, get it sorted, and then give it its first bath and flea met. You know, all the little
Day
things.
48, I was able to give it its first bath.
Yeah, exactly.
But most cats that can't clean themselves on their butts seems like an arthritic thing.
Maybe.
But even by the pictures, and I don't know cat ages, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not a phlebotomist or whatever there. But
it was teeny tiny. Had a big poofy fluffy tail. So I'd say medium to long hair, that kind of thing. So it was hard to tell if it was as old as baby girl, because baby girl's like maybe 6 years old by this point and all that. But
okay.
When I first got her, she was not poofy at all. I'm not saying she was a short hair, but all of a sudden, like within the span of a year, she just went full cotton ball.
But she was full dumpster cat, though, right?
Yeah.
So dumpster cats in the wild, they will never get to their full floofiness because there's always stress, malnourishment, unable to clean, all that stuff. Yeah. So they flourish whenever they're able to, be taken care of.
Yeah.
Constant food.
I was ready to take on a cat, and I'm a little.
I could tell.
I'm not saying despondent or. Overly
just a little melancholy, a little morose.
Well, it's kind of this wonderful idea that you can keep something alive, whether it's a house plant or an animal, even at its base level. Like if I just provide a certain amount, without overdoing it and, making cat walls and, food that costs $8 a can, all that. But at its base level, here's something that needs me to a certain extent. I need them to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I think the other draw to it is, maybe subconsciously, is like, we crave things that we don't know if they necessarily crave us.
Right. Yeah.
And a cat's the perfect example of that, because you can never tell whether they give a shit about you or not.
They're aloof, taciturn, any number of adjectives.
You could feed them, give them treats, all that shit, and they're still like, you could put the treat down, they're like, I might eat it in my own time if I would like to.
I could only assume at this point that maybe the cat was more interested in baby girl than it was in me. Because
cock blocked by your own daughter.
Maybe, I guess so. Because what made me think that was, initially it was coming to the front porch, but I went to let baby girl out the back door by the laundry room, and this cat had figured out how to get around the building the short way or the long way, and was right there, went up in the back door to let baby girl out.
Yeah.
And that's when they had their kind of physical encounter of checking each other out. And she didn't rush off immediately or anything like that, or like you said, hiss and throw up, that kind of thing. But it seemed like it was more interested in her than it was in whatever I had to offer, food or clean water or not.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And now it's gone like a shooting star.
But that might not mean it's gone forever, Kelly.
But now I'm keeping an eye out. Like the last few days, I'm still going outside and sliding the little thing up on my blinds slowly.
Oh, man.
Just to see maybe if it's there.
Man. Oh, man.
I don't know.
It's a good story, though. I love it because I was in it with you. Like, because how often do I text you anything other than, like the brass tacks of things?
Yeah.
But I think a few times in the past week, like, is that cat coming around still? I'll ask every few days.
Yeah, and I was ready to take it on, do the things that a responsible pet owner does, and all that. And if it decided it wanted to be like just I'm a dumpster kitty and I want to be outside, I was fine with that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to mess up what baby girl and I have because it's deep and rooted in truth and.
Yeah, not at the cost of disrupting your current relationship with the cat that you're not sure cares about you at all.
Plus, you don't know if a cat, when you bring it in, what their proclivities are as far as like, what, I like pooping in your shoe as a sign of affection, or tearing everything apart,
or I need attention all the time, and if you don't give it to me, then I'll undo all the toilet paper off the roll.
Exactly, and I went through that with baby girl and Pablo when they were kittens and all that sort of stuff. Like. Within a week, every live plant I had was shredded. Yeah. Gone. Toilet paper rolls down to the tube in a hot second. You know, 4 or 5 shower curtains. All that sort of stuff. And then they outgrew that. And now it's not even a thing to baby girl. Like, I have a bamboo plant and a little, I guess, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Could not care. But so bringing this little fucker in possibly could start all that over again, and then
seeing some other bad behavior.
Yeah.
And even if baby girl didn't start doing the same bad behavior as the new cat necessarily, but baby girl might be even more distant. Be like, oh, I ain't coming in when that thing's in here.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll be under the bed. Thank you very much.
So I was willing to take my time with this, but after 2 days, I kind of made my mind, like, if this little thing keeps showing up, then I
already had the dreams in my head of making the same canned up GeoBeats YouTube short fucking exploitative story about it. Day 31, it let me pet, even if none of that shit was true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all there to start with. It felt like one of those things you see on YouTube.
But then it turned into a thriller because I was like, this cat can take its collar on and off, and it's hustling the entire neighborhood just to get different bits of kibble each night.
If it had like chowed down on the good kibble, I would have thought now in hindsight that I was getting hustled. But now I just kind of think it was just passing through. I'm not sure where it went, but I keep looking.
Maybe it'll come around the bend again.
I kind of hope so. I don't really need another cat or any other animal, frankly, but now I'm kind of like, well, was it me?
Yeah.
Was there something in my pheromones?
Right, yeah. What did I do?
I mean,
what did I do?
Too pungent?
What did I do?
Yeah.
Was my kibble not good enough?
Was my 72-hour, Old Spice, deodorant too much?
Well, could a cat be a... Oh, shit.
It's the Karen of the week. It's the Karen of the week.
Oh, shit. Karen, the fake edition.
All right.
I got Karen Bamboozled. I loved it, though. Couple comes in. Oh, this not Karen of the week brought to you by Inferno Hot Sauce Emporium. Get spicy, baby. This couple comes in. They seem pretty normal. And they're a little standoffish, not unlike a cat. They're not sure if they want to sit down at the outside bar. They're kind of by the heater a little bit, Ask them what they want. Give them a menu so they can see the drinks and the food and stuff. And the guy gets a Miller Lite, and the girl gets a Type Blonde. Give them to them. They're still a little standoffish. I think it was some of the people sitting there that they didn't necessarily want to sit next to, or not even that. They just weren't sure of the rule that I'd never seen them before. Mm-hmm. So maybe they weren't sure about the proximity rules of sitting close to certain people, whether they had other people coming up to sit next to them, because at the outside bar especially, people aren't going to bunch up next to each other if there's seats further away available.
Oh, yeah.
So you could have 3 people out there, but 3 people sporadically placed at the bar isn't really conducive to having a couple come up and sit between them because there's only one chair between them, and a couple that sees that these people are regulars by the way they're interacting with people. Oh, hey, Gil. Hey, Paxton. Hey, Josh. Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
They're not typically going to walk up and be like, hey, could you scoot over so me and my girl could sit down or whatever, right. Which they could. And they just don't know.
Yeah.
They don't want to be like, well, excuse me.
Yeah.
I get it. So they finally get a chance to sit down. I was like, you guys getting food or anything? I said, yeah. I looked at the guy's hoodie. And it had this really cool design on the chest. I go, dude, that's a dope hoodie. And his girlfriend, wife, whatever, the fake Karen goes, pfft. She opens her overcoat and she's got the same hoodie on. She goes, you mean our hoodie?
Oh.
I was like, well, you have it covered up. And that's really cute that this couple's wearing the same hoodie. But like, hey, lady.
Yeah. Was it a band or
No, it was an Adidas hoodie.
Okay.
But there was no 3 line. It said Adidas in the design. But it was like neon. It looked like it was a great design.
Okay.
All black hoodie with just this very colorful outline of a design.
Okay.
It was dope.
Okay.
So I said as much. Yeah. And she goes, you mean our hoodie? And there's a little slick smile there, but I was like, okay. They're not reading as Karens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then she starts asking me, so what kind of hot drinks do you have for the holidays? I was like, well, we don't have a way to make hot anything here unless we stick it in the microwave.
Right.
So then I'm trying to placate a little bit. I'm like, sometimes, when some of our employees, if they're feeling really froggy, they'll bring in like a mixture of like brown sugar and cinnamon and something, and they'll scoop that out and put it into a cup, put hot water in the microwave and put rum in it and make a cocktail.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, well, I'll have one of those. And I was like, no, I said.
I wasn't offering.
Yeah, I said sometimes and the husband and boyfriend or whatever, he says, no, you didn't hear him? He said, oh, sometimes this one guy does it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out this dynamic. She goes, well, what else do you have that's holiday? I was like, I don't know.
And you guys don't have coffee.
No, we don't. Yeah. I mean, we are literally next to a coffee shop, but
you don't have like coffee on tap
ever. Nothing hot. Yeah. No, we don't have a hot water thing.
Yeah.
Actually, our tea maker I get, but it doesn't. All right. So a lot of tea makers and shit like that, they have a spout just for hot water on the side.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Right.
Our tea makers, it'll spit out hot water while it's making tea.
Okay.
I'm sure you could rig it some way to do it, but whatever.
Who cares?
So yeah, exactly. So she goes, well, what about a cocktail, mixed cocktail? I was like, Jack and Coke. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So I'm not getting the vibe that, so then as time goes on, I see her and the husband talking and I'm like, can I get you guys anything else? She goes, yeah, could you just get him another Miller Lite and I'll take a Crown and Ginger. I was like, okay. Comes time to pay and it's $50, something like that. And they gave me $100 and said, keep it. And I was like, you sure? They go, yeah, we were just fucking with you. I was like, they hit every note. Well, she hit every note. Yeah. I don't know if dude was a party to it or not.
Right.
But opening the door with, your hoodie is dope.
Yeah.
Our hoodie, you mean? But I was reading the little slick smile every so often.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that happen in the breezy every once in a while, like have somebody, guy or girl, be a little, I don't want to say aggressive, but and not even like demeaning to what I'm doing for them or anything like that, but they're just kind of like either like just disagreeing overtly for whatever reason with whatever I'm saying, that kind of thing. You know, whether
they're not doing the typical thing of let's make it smooth no matter what.
Yeah. And then by the time we get to wherever we're going, they kind of cop to, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
Because I don't usually unload on passengers.
Yeah.
If we're not getting along, then I just stop talking.
Yeah.
I stop engaging and turn the radio up, that kind of thing. So, but every once in a while, I'll get somebody who's just trying to press my buttons. And sometimes it does work.
Right. Yeah.
Not that I yell at them like, get the fuck out of my cab, but we get to wherever.
Yeah.
And as they're getting out, I kind of call them out and give them a blunt answer to some whatever question or comment they make.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're not trying to piss you off. Sorry, dude. We're just messing around. We're just having a good time tonight. That kind of thing. I'm like, okay, I get it now. And I should have known it earlier, but I'm so jaded now.
Exactly. You're so cynical already.
Yeah.
Expecting. So in those situations, now there's a certain amount of ribbing in certain places.
Yeah.
That a person who's in the service industry doing a service versus the customer, there's wiggle room there where you can fuck with each other.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't turn diminutive towards one or the other or disrespectful.
Yeah.
And that's all fun and that's all well and good.
Yeah.
Which is what was happening with this fake Karen. But like you said, it never got to the point where they were being diminutive towards me and my lot in life.
Yeah.
You know, so there is that space and they fucked with me so good. But they hit all the benchmarks.
And then they reciprocated. Above and beyond.
Yes, 100%.
Not saying that we got you, but
no, but they're like,
got you, and thanks for playing along.
But it was kind of like, hey, this was fun because it was a mystery.
Yeah,
because they literally played the role of like angel devil. They were like so pleasantly dissonant towards it. You know, I loved it.
Yeah.
During kind of because I was like, I'm trying to figure this out, and we weren't super busy, so I was like, I'm trying to figure this out. Like She's nice. He's sort of aloof.
Yeah. I mean, I pride myself on usually seeing all the signs outside of like the one incident that got out of hand recently, that kind of thing. And I don't think there was anything I could have done to prevent that with my, conversation skills or not, that kind of thing. But every once in a while, every few months or so, I get a ride and guy, girl, age doesn't matter and all that.
Goes sideways pretty quick.
And they're just literally just having fun. I'm on vacation. I'm just busting your balls.
Yep.
That kind of thing. And then you have to kind of go, shame on me for writing them off immediately.
For being so jaded already.
Yeah, yeah. But
which is not shame.
Years of doing this,
you can't because you're going to be right.
Yeah,
90% of the time. Maybe more
than that.
Yeah,
honestly. Like I said, outside of the one recent incident with the cops and all that.
Right.
But most of the time, I can judge a book by its cover pretty quickly when it comes to breezy.
Yeah.
And that's not saying I just write people off and all that, but based off what they're wearing or just
you know how much to engage or not.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to tread into the water on your own volition.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, well, don't give him anything.
Don't give him any fuel.
And this can be as smooth as it can be. Not everyone has to like each other.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to get along. Not everyone has to agree on everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can make this thing work for what it is right now.
Going back to the tip amount for you, traditionally when I get played like that, call it what it is and all that, the tip is usually exceptional.
Exactly.
We're going to be here for the next 3 or 4 days. You guys are great. This is a great service.
If they'd have tipped me $10 and said we were fucking with you, I still would have been happy. That was just an extra bonus. I was just like, but them tipping that much, 100%, basically, I was like, they get it. First base, second base, they get it.
Yeah. Good for them.
I know, but I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it because taking me for a ride, especially my little domain up there, where I know pretty much everything, like I can predict a lot of things.
Dialed in,
a little dialed in up there. To take me on a fucking gondola ride. This was a journey down the Mississippi in a gondola. They were singing Italian songs. I had no idea what they meant. They had me. It was amazing. I loved it.
Good.
Speaking of going down in water, and we'll end the segment on this. So the Huckapoo's Christmas party, by the time you guys are hearing this, everyone should be back from the cruise, the Bahamanian cruise. I didn't go, and people asked why, and the only way I could explain it was, if I'm not going, I wouldn't want to be there.
Okay.
I know it's pompous and shitty, but I'm like, and it's not just me, but I was like, it turned out when people asked me if I was going, I said no. That kind of influenced a few decisions.
Okay.
Not that I meant to, not that it was my purpose, but I was thinking, I was like, well, even for me, I was like, well, if this person isn't going and that person ain't going, then why would I go?
Okay.
So then anytime anyone asks now, I'm just like, well, if I'm not going, then I wouldn't want to go.
All right.
I mean, it's pompous, but you get what I'm saying though.
I'm certain they had a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It didn't matter whether I was there having a good time or not, but for me, so the cruise happens, and it, as it does, and we were talking about earlier a little bit, you say anything or talk about anything, all of a sudden you're, everything you look at on your phone or social media or whatever becomes really like a cruise oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And, through talking about, going or not going on the cruise on like my YouTube algorithm and all this stuff, this story popped up about, a cruise, like a Carnival or like one of the main boys, where they had offered a cruise around the world ish.
Okay.
110 stop ports of call
Jesus.
or 50 or something like that, whatever, some number.
Jesus.
Where you pay a flat rate and they take you essentially around the world, whatever that means for them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was they didn't sell out of this package, which they thought they would. They only got like 30% of the boat sold.
Right.
So the people who bought, the first 30% of the people on this cruise who bought the package at its highest rate, all of a sudden they started offering packages where you could go from Italy to the Horn of Africa. You could do segments, and then they had segments where you could do just Southern Europe, just Eastern United States. Yeah. So on this year-long cruise or 9-month, 10-month cruise, whatever it is, it starts getting cliques start forming, prison gangs start forming, because a cruise ship is basically a floating prison.
Yeah, depending on your point of view. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
These gangs start forming. There's the OGs and then the segmenters are what they're calling them.
Okay.
So the OGs who paid the big price for the full package won't let the segmenters into their book clubs, their Facebook groups, their social things. So sects of people start forming on this boat where it's almost like gangland territory.
Jesus.
If a segmenter goes into a lifer or an OG's like area, they're like, you get the fuck out of here. You can't hang out in this restaurant from the hours of 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Really?
They're on a boat all stuck together.
I'm on a boat.
And these people that paid $30,000 for the worldwide tour because they couldn't, the worldwide cruise because they couldn't get just from Southern Africa to Northern Europe.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So all these sects are already forming. Now the weather, it feels like Poseidon is following this cruise, and all the ports all the ports of call start getting skipped because they can't get into it because of the weather. Right. Suez Canal because it's too low.
Yeah.
All these things start happening. So now the dissension on the cruise is more because the segmenters that got on to go from Italy to I don't know, somewhere else in Western Europe, UK.
Jesus.
Then floods start happening on the ship. Everything's going awry. So these lifers, these OGs that paid all that money, now all of a sudden they can't go to any of the ports. Their rooms are being flooded. There's gang wars on the boat.
It's not a good selling point for a cruise.
But then I'm thinking about the Pooh's cruise. I'm like, they're just going to a couple stops. They get off on all their ports. Their rooms aren't flooding.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no gangland violence on the ship.
Well, I've only been on 2 cruises, and I've always kind of wondered, are they always packed to the gills? And I know there are certain cruises that are meant for like adults, or it's a themed cruise or music or whatever.
Any typical cruise that you would try and get on, that you would want to be involved, or that you would sign up for, they're trying to pack that to the gills.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, are there cruises that are like planes that aren't overbooked? And like, I remember flying out to Oregon at one time, and there might have been 30 people on this big jet because we were flying out of Augusta to Portland. So
not a big market for
So it wasn't like a little puddle jumper going to Atlanta and all that. It was a big fucking plane. But there was only like maybe 30 of us, to the point where we had carte blanche to basically just lay out.
You could lay across 3 seats,
and all that. No one was mad about that kind of thing. And I wonder if like cruises are the same way, because again, I've only been on 2, but packed to the gills, like every room that could be filled was filled. Every seat that was available.
I think for the shorter ones, filled. they're going to try and do that. Yeah. But this was like a weird offering that they were just trying out. Okay. That they thought they would sell out of, and then when they didn't, now there's. I don't know if it still exists anymore, but there's a boat, and it's just one cruise company, not a company, but one boat called the World. Okay. And you live on it year round. But
I think I've heard of that.
It constantly circumnavigates the planet.
Like a nomad.
Okay, but but they stop in ports for like days at the time.
Right.
So you basically pay rent, and you live on this thing, but they're in every port of call. If they can't get to that port, they'll just sit out in the ocean for a little bit and wait to go in there. You live on the boat no matter what.
All right.
There's no end in sight necessarily.
Yeah.
And it's for the ultra rich because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And everything's, it's much higher like service level.
Yeah.
But on those shorter cruises, like the 4-day Bahama thing, they're trying to pack those things out to the gills.
Yeah.
As much as they can. This world tour thing was just a new thing that they were trying out, and since it didn't sell out for the entire world package, they're like, we'll let people segment, and then literally gangs formed, the OGs versus the segmenters.
I get it now. Okay, so they paid for a bigger picture type thing, and then now there's these interlopers coming in and like,
right.
Well, we signed up for this other.
We didn't want to sign up for the World.
Yeah,
but there was no other option.
Right.
Now all of a sudden we've paid for it,
but they still need to fill seats, so they're bringing these
segmenters on. That's what they call them, segmenters.
Damn.
So now there's literal prison gangs on this boat.
The segmenters.
The segmenters.
Oh, God.
Segmenters! Clink, clink,
Mount up.
clink, clink, clink. Segmenters, don't come out to play. Little technical hiccup, no worries. Thank you guys for listening this week. We'll talk a little bit more about the cruises I've been on and other things in the Patreon. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. If you're on Spotify, open your phone up sometimes and look at the video if you hear something funny that you want to see. Kelly, I love you.
Love you too.
We'll see you guys in Patreon.